All right, topic number 2 for today. Let me get a dub in the chat, boys. I need a dub. Since I decided to do another lecture for you guys, I deserve a dub. I deserve a big fat dub. Easy dub. 1 second. Alright, okay. Topic number 2 that we're going to branch into. I want to talk about one of the biggest problems with society that is right out in the open, but no one even sees it. No one even realizes. And we've touched on this a little bit before, but I want to go a little more into detail of why it's such a big problem. Okay? And that problem is weakness. Well, you could say, you could even make an argument that this is a form of weakness. But what I'm getting at is it's a hidden problem that's right in front of everyone's eyes and nobody sees it. It kind of connects to decentralization, but division of labor. What is the problem with the division of labor? Let me start first. Is why do we need a division of labor, guys? Why do we need a division of labor? Yeah, for specialized roles. Yeah, for a society to function, right? It's like it's a big pyramid. It's a big pyramid, right? We gotta stack up the pyramid, and we need people at all different levels of the pyramid doing different things, specialized in different roles. Like we need the people down here, like cleaning the toilets. We need the people up here. What's another good example? What's a medium tier job? Somebody give me a medium tier. No, plumbers is down here. Here, okay, let me actually draw it out. Oh. Dang it. Plumber. Well, I don't know. Plumbers actually they make decent money nowadays. Yeah, versus like I would say down here at the bottom is more if you decided to go into like political science or something, like some university degree that's like has like very, very low societal value and not much true value as well. Like I'll say one thing before we go into any of this. True value and societal value are very different, right, guys? True value and societal value, there's some overlap, but they're not the same thing, all right? So if you're going to go and study political science, like that would be an example of low value and low societal value. Political science. What's another degree that like has no societal value and like so it keeps you unemployed and there's not much value to helping your life or other people? Yeah, gender studies can be too. I mean, history, yeah, it can. English sometimes too, yeah. My point is, and I'll write this out too. There's societal value. Oh gosh, I can't spell societal. That's embarrassing. Maybe I need to go back to school. Oh gosh, I'm just mistyping now because this dang microphone's in the way. Societal value and true value. True value and societal value are not the same things. Yeah, DNA spelling course. That's great. They're not the same things. But in this societal hierarchy, what really matters is this societal value, right? Because you're going to get paid according to your societal value in the societal hierarchy. You guys see that? Does that make sense? You follow me? The title of the lecture is I'm going over the generalists versus the specialists and its relation to the collective and individual. You got all that? Did you get everything I just said? Okay, cool. All right. Okay. So society, what it demands of you is it demands societal value from a specialist. That's what society wants. It wants society wants societal value from a specialist. Society wants societal value from a specialist. That's what they want. Let's repeat the title. I asked you if you wrote it down. Gosh, I'm trying to remember what I even said now. I'm saying what I said before was perfect. But I was saying the generalist versus the specialist and its relation to the collective and individual in society. No, I think it sounded better the first time I said it. Yeah, relation to the collective and individual, and just the optimization of it, right? That's what we're talking about here. Yeah. So what society wants is it wants societal value from a specialist, and that's how it's been for a very long time. And so, what assembly line was created in order to serve that purpose? So the assembly line is what? Yeah, there we go. Yeah, school. That's what school is, guys. It's the assembly line for producing someone who can generate societal value from the specialist. Sleep well, bud. Yeah, there you go. John D. Rockefeller, I don't want a nation of thinkers, I want a nation of workers. Booyah. Bingo, guys. Alright. So this is a societal value from special. That's a worker. There you go, worker. Alright. Slave mindset. Well, remember, you can't become a master if you don't become a slave. Somebody quote me on that one. So give me an example of a mid-tier. Maine. Origin Maine. Yeah, you gotta be a good follower to be a leader. You gotta be a slave to be a master. Right? You gotta. It's a progression. It's a sequence. It's an evolution. It's a progression. It's a sequence. The problem is a lot of people take on the follower, the slave role, and they don't continue to develop. Right? They stay specialized. They stay honed in. They fill their notch, and they never evolve past that. Does that make sense? Did everything I just said, is that clear? I went kind of fast there, but okay, right? So what I'm saying is a lot of these guys out there, like the self-improvement guru space, is they all want you to go to master straight away. They're trying to sell you a dream to be master right off the bat. And it's not how the world works, guys. Like, so for some people it does, right? But most of the time that's the outlying case, right? And it's interesting that a lot of these people that like are trying to sell the dream, they're trying to sell the dream, and but at the same time, it didn't work like that for them. It took them a very long time as well. Right? 10K a month. Yeah, I mean, it's cause and effect, right? You're not going to get around cause and effect, guys. Like the true value you're going to get is like lectures like this, right? That are going to improve your mind for the long term and help you see reality more for what it really is, so you can make better decisions over a very long amount of time. This is the real value. It's not like, oh, I'm gonna get it rich off a get rich quick scheme. Like, that's the unfortunate reality, guys. But that doesn't mean that, again, let me be clear, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't yeah, that doesn't mean you shouldn't dab a big fat bag on some Bitcoin. That doesn't mean you shouldn't start your online business and get into online business. Like, again, I'm just, to be completely clear, I'm not saying like, all those guys are wrong and you shouldn't do all that. You definitely should, right? It's just we got to be realistic as well. There's a balance, right? Again, it's a dialectic. We need to be a realist, but optimistic. Yeah. Well, again, yeah, everything's a dialectic. Exactly. So, what's an example of a mid-tier job here that's above a plumber, political science? Operations manager. Operation. That's such a vague term. That's like corporate speak. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I guess I would put software engineer like maybe midway. Software engineer, and then like say these are like maybe like the doctors, directors, and then like the somebody like the president, celebs, and then the elite, the puppet masters, the elite. The capitalistic elite. Yeah, I mean, the world's always been driven by power, right? It's just whoever the people are at the top that have the power, right? And in the modern world, the power is it's money and information, right? It's the flow of money, information, and attention. Money, information, and attention. And then just like power over object and ability to, control object. All right, so we can go back to the subject and object dialectic for understanding the power dynamic as well, right? Because if you control the attention and the information, you control the subject. And then if you have like military power and money, you control the object of the world. You guys see that? That was very wise what I just said. Like, I'm not saying that for validation. Like, I don't think I've ever heard someone say that. But that's, yeah. And then too, if we want to think about the subject and object dialectic, the most dangerous thing to the object space is nuclear weapons, and the most dangerous thing to the subject space is artificial intelligence. Could you repeat the smart thing? Yeah. Okay, so let me repeat it again. The power dynamic. The power dynamic was what did I say? I already forgot what I said. The subject-object dialectic of the power dynamic is attention and information. I would even put influence in there. Attention, information, and influence on one side. That's the subject, power of the subject, and then on the other side you've got the power of the object. So that's where we're talking about materialistic, the military complex, the money flow. And what they both share is it's all the dialectic shares energy, right? It's energy in different forms. It's energy in the form of subject and energy in the form of object. That makes sense? Like energy can be harnessed in terms of attention and information, influence. That's one form of energy in the world of subject and minds and ideas. And then you've got energy in the form of like money. It's like a representation for ability to do work and energy and societal exchange. That's one form of energy, is money. And then the other one I mentioned was the military industrial complex, right? That's a form of energy. Like why is the US on top, right? Because they still have a strong control over the military industrial complex of the world, right? It's power. They've got might. They've got military. So yes, what I was saying here, so coming back to this, is societal value does not equal true value, right? Dude, guys, I just gotta say, guys, the lectures are actually on fire today. It's really good. So, true value, what I'm saying by true value is I mean like actually that's a good question actually. True value. Even I'm stumped by this one right now. So when I say let's go backwards. Let's say societal value. Societal value is what society will exchange to you in return for your energy output. True value is the that one's a hard one to define. Actually, now I think about it, because I'm leaning towards even saying that true value is subjective, right? Yeah, true value is subjective to the individual. It's tied to your purpose. Do you guys see that? Again, this is a really good take too. Like, listen very carefully to what I'm saying here. I'm saying true value is dependent on the individual because it's subjective. And then society is the object, right? So it's determined by the collective. While true value is dependent on the individual. It's subjective. How to find and stick to our purpose. We'll come back to that one. Well, it's mostly just discipline, slaughter gang, and internalizing the idea of you want to pick discipline over regret, right? You just keep thinking about the regret in order to skew you to the other side into discipline. That's pretty much what it comes down to. It's pretty simple, right? And then just rebalancing the ratios of improvement to indulgence. Yeah, so again, what I'm saying is, I'm saying societal value is the collective determines the societal value. The collective, like all of us together, everyone in society uh, assigns the value, and it trickles down from the top to bottom. Like the top trickles down what the value is for society, and then we all together like mutually agree on it from the top. Like it's set by the top, and then just by the flow of the market, right? It's the flow of the capitalistic market, and the biggest leaders of the capitalistic market are the power at is the power at the top, right? Because it's all object. Again, societal value is object, um, and that's a dialectic as well. And this is what Karl Marx realized, that there is a dialectic materialism, right? So he took the ideas of Hegelian, the Hegelian dialectic, and he applied it to the material and economic flow of a society. Yeah, Hegel figured out the whole master versus slave dialectic for consciousness, and I mean, from his perspective, he called it spirit. Um, and then Marx took those ideas, and he brought it all into object, right? So in terms of the idea of the dialectic, uh, the pre-Socratic and Socratic school like popularized the dialectic, or introduced it, I would say, and then Hegel really blew it up for the modern day from a subjective point of view, but then Karl Marx really blew up the objective side of the dialectic when he introduced dialectic materialism in Das Kapital. Yeah, Das Kapital. Dude, guys, I'm like a living library at this point. uh, Hegel. Frederick. No, not Frederick. William. I'm trying to remember his first name. William. I just, in my mind, it's always, yeah. Okay, I did get it right. Wow. George William Frederick Hegel. Yeah. See, I was doubting myself because I'm like, Frederick. That's Nietzsche. Yeah, no, he's Frederick too, just without the e, right? Or without two e's. Whatever. Um, yeah, he blew up the dialectic. I mean, guys, the reason why the dialectic is so important is it's because it's ingrained into reality, right? And reason itself, the reasoning process is just a dialectic, and like evolution and change, and 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 debates between people, it's all dialectics, right? It's just dialectics at different scales. Wait, when did I when did I say I have average IQ? I don't remember saying that. Dang! Wow, he's going in on me now. He's going in on me because I said atheists are nihilists. No, they aren't. I'm just saying atheism has a tendency to spiral into nihilism, and that might be like the Nietzsche influence in me. Right? Yeah, because that's basically what Nietzsche was trying to get at, right? With God is dead, and etc. Oh, explain dialectics again. Let's well go back and watch a video on dialectics, and we'll focus on this right now. All right. I gotta remember what I've gone in so many tangents in this lecture. I'm like losing track of what my original point was. Okay, it's coming back to me, guys. All right. So what I'm getting at is societal value is not the same as true value, right? It's true values, it's subjective value, and the thing is what's happening is a lot of people are trying to like exit the societal hierarchy, right? When they say, "Oh, I want to escape the matrix," I mean, what are they really saying? They're just they're dumb because they're propagating like the meme version of like they get their information all from Andrew Tate. When what you really need to do is you need to go read like the great philosophers. You need to go read Hegel, Nietzsche, etc. And you need to understand how society really works, right? What they're trying to say is that when they want to exit the matrix is they want to leave the societal hierarchy, right? And they want to build their own hierarchy of value outside of it with the business or content or whatever, which is good. I mean, maybe don't just quit your job completely, but if you have something you're interested in doing that more aligns with your true value that's outside of the societal hierarchy, like work on that on the side while you're like, in the societal hierarchy. And the thing is too is what I want to say here is we shouldn't demonize the societal hierarchy, right? Because the societal hierarchy is what keeps us alive and everything running, all right? Like we need people coming in off the assembly line of school into societal hierarchy so everyone stays alive and we don't all die, all right? Like we don't just demonize this. We see it for what it is and we see the good and bad of it. We see the problems for what they are. We discern the problems and see what they are, and we think about ways we can optimize it. I mean, it definitely can be optimized. But to say the whole system is evil is it's not the way to go. I mean, can you see the people at the top are evil? I mean, maybe not. I mean, power usually corrupts, right? I mean, that's the saying. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. But yeah, well, it doesn't always corrupt. It's just the problem is when you have a cycle of people at the top that are like multi-generational. Like usually it like the the original ruler is like the original ruler that comes about is very like how do I say this? The original ruler of the empire is like earns the spot, right? They earn the spot. And then the multi-generational like people that inherit the spot like usually aren't up for the task. Does that make sense? And that's usually a big problem. Yeah, they never earned it. Yeah, and that's what we don't like, right? Simon Sinek has a really good video on this, guys. Write that one down. Simon Sinek. He talks about the alpha male. What people don't like is when Simon Sinek, Sinek. What people don't like is when the people at the top with the power didn't earn the spot, right? That's when people get upset. And it's pretty simple. Like most of this stuff is like really simple, right? If you really think about it and like figure it all out, and you're well read and smart, like you can see where the problems come about from. Yeah, the people on top want to keep the power, but they didn't earn the spot, right? It's just this cycle of hard times create strong men, and then it just degrades down. It's because it's how the human psyche works, guys. Right? Because the human psyche is is um, is subject to cause and effect. Because as subject goes into object, uh, it becomes influenced by cause and effect. DNA City, maybe we'll see. Yeah. So to become the most ideal leader, to become the most ideal leader, um, and to earn a position of power, you need to go through a lot of struggle, a lot of pain and growth to become the person that can actually be the leader, right? And that person, like the collective deems that person as worthy of the position. Yeah, leaders eat last. Yeah, that's what I'm referencing. Leaders eat last. And he's got a video that summarizes it. It's called like something like about alpha males, what the real alpha male is. Like no, you ask people, nobody understands. Nobody understands the power dynamic, guys. Nobody understands the power dynamic and the social hierarchy. Like, but that guy does. Simon Sinek, he gets it. So, like, if you want to understand the societal hierarchy and the power dynamic very well, um, you read Simon Sinek. You go and read people like Hegel and Nietzsche. What's another good one? Some Plato. Read some Plato, because they talk about the whole philosopher king concept in the Republic. Yep, there you go. Boom. Well done. The Republic. Yeah, they talk about shit. They talk about like Atlantis versus Athens. And they talk about how, like, why Atlantis got wrecked. Put it in, put it that way. Talk about how, like, okay, is it better for people to be philosophers or kings or warriors, right? Like, what's the ideal citizen and what's the ideal leader? They talk about that kind of stuff, right? It's like they're just talking about, like, is the ideal man, is he driven by senses? Is he driven by feeling? Is he driven by emotion? Or sorry, no, is he driven by senses? Is he driven by emotion? Is he driven by thinking, or is he driven by intuition? It's like the Jung um, personality drivers, right? You need to be all of it, right? You gotta max out all your cylinders, and then you need to have your senses and your emotions under control of your thinking and your intuition, right? It's the internal master slave dialectic. The master side of you needs to have thinking and intuition, and then the emotion, the feeling, and the sensing physical part of you need to be in submission to the thinking and intuition. That's the slave side of your mind. It's brainstem and limbic system have to submit to the thinking left hemisphere and intuitive right hemisphere, right? You see that? You want, essentially what I'm saying is, you want your neocortex to be driving the majority of your decisions versus your limbic and your brainstem. Because that's when we get into trouble, when we when we think with our brainstem. Or we let our brainstem like rule us, like our brainstem be the major contributor of our decisions. Like, I mean, all of it's important, right? Man is a bridge, as Nietzsche would say. Man is a bridge. So all of those pieces are pieces of us, but it's just about the prioritization. Like, what's our priority, right? Our priority should not be our brainstem, because that makes us an animal. There's times where, yeah, you just gotta, clap some cheeks. See, that's brainstem mode, but we don't want to always be operating in brainstem mode. We want to selectively oscillate into brainstem mode. Yes. Well, when people say think with your heart, what they're really saying is they're saying think with your right hemisphere. Or more, it's like, yeah. Well, I mean, it's all about thinking synchronized between the left and right hemisphere, right? That's what you want, right? Well, we want the proper dance of left and right hemisphere, and then down to limbic, and then down to brainstem. Right, the proper dialectic of left and right hemisphere overseeing the proper dialectic of brainstem to limbic. Does that make sense? I don't know. You guys let me know if you follow that. Yeah. Yeah, it's non-dualism. Like, I mean, what is really non-dualism when it comes down to non-dualism is just it's just the it's the non being tilted too far left or right hemisphere. That's what non-dualism is in the realm of object. Yeah, if notes help you, then go with notes. You can always watch this back too. All right. Again, we got off on a tangent, but I mean, usually when I go off on a tangent idea, I'm gonna repeat those ideas over and over. What just happened to my camera? Do you guys see that? Why did it go dark? Well, yeah, I don't know what happened. I'm scared to change the camera now though, because did it? Oh no! I think it overheated again. Man, I don't know why this happens sometimes. It overheats. That sucks. Well, we might have went too long today, boys. Yeah, that's that's a sign. Yeah, it's a sign to stop yapping. All right, so my point here. Let me just wrap it up then. I'm just so sad you can't see my beautiful mug. Um, so my point here to wrap it up is this is what happens because of the division of labor, right? It causes society to focus on the generalization of specialists that are workers for the sake of benefiting society and not true value of the individual. Um, so so like it's fine to do this, but only view this as a stepping stone of what you're pursuing your true value will be. Right. This is the stage one. This is the level one. Uh, and then level two is you need to figure out a way to pursue true value. Uh, and that's like business, content creation, doing something that is more your calling and more aligns with your specific knowledge. This when you rise up Maslow's hierarchy, that's like true value. That's essentially what true value is, which is always going to be unique to you and like what you really care about in your specific knowledge. Yeah, so you would want to do something long term that's consistent with that stage. Right. So, but I mean the thing is though, it's based on where you are in Maslow's hierarchy, you might not immediately be able to jump to that, right? That's what the dream gurus aren't telling you. Right? So for a lot of us, we're gonna have to, jump into the hierarchy and do something, and then we set ourselves up to then make the leap to true value at some point, right? It's not going to happen overnight, right? You got to get there slowly and then build up to it. And a lot of the times, the time spent in the social hierarchy or the societal hierarchy, the time spent in here is going to make it easier to make the jump to true value, because you're going to, hopefully be getting better and smarter and, building capital, things like that. But my point is, or one of the things I wanted to get to is why this is a problem is like this division of labor can also make people too specialized, and they never really truly learn how to think outside the box, right? Because you're just a one-trick pony. So division of labor leads to one trick pony who doesn't think. Don't be the one-trick pony that doesn't think. That's what I'm getting at. Like, school's going to teach you, it's the assembly line that's going to teach you how to provide societal value, but it's not going to teach you how to think. Right? So if you want to learn how to think, you have to take ownership over yourself and your own self-education in order to learn how to think. And the people that are going to teach you how to think are going to be like the way outlier people like me. Like, I'm not, again, that's not trying to stroke my ego, but or you're gonna find in a book from like philosophers and mathematicians and scientists. You're gonna find it from those kind of people, right? And then some books in this self-improvement space, and just you're gonna find it there. That's where you're gonna find it, right? So look at it in two ways. Like, you've got your overall mindset. That's your way of thinking and viewing the world, and your awareness, your adaptive mind, and then you've got your technical mind, right? The societal value machine and execution. So don't fall for the trick of being a one-trick pony who doesn't think. You need to have a T-shaped skill set, instead of just being like a line, like one thing, right? Problem too is if you're the one thing kind of person, like if you're an engineer that literally only just codes and that's all you ever do until the day you die, it's like you're gonna like fall behind in all the other areas of life. Yeah, you want to be polymath, right? And then have all these other skills and things and all these other fascinations, right? You want to be like you. Again, I'm not trying to validate, I'm not trying to stroke my ego, but you want to be like me in terms of it's like extremely handsome, charming, charismatic man, has great hair, and amazing skin. What else, guys? Well-spoken? Yeah, let's talk about well-spoken. Oh yeah, great voice. There you go. Yeah, yep. Knows QM, can program, did some game design, understands women, is a dad. I mean, I was kind of joking around here, but you get the idea, right? But yeah, top philosopher, psychology, investing. What else? To study like all the world religions. What am I forgetting? See, you want to be in this scenario where people ask you what you're interested in, and you can't even remember all of the things. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that's my number one, like the teacher. I didn't even get to that one yet. What else? Right? That's the scenario you want to be in. You want to be like, wait a second, like what are the things I'm interested in? Let me think. Just because you're so wide and diverse. This is why he never stands up during the lecture? What do you mean? Oh, big balls. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, shit, dude, with those new pants I have, it's like, it's like the bulge will get going on. Those pants are not good for the gym. I gotta get some new gym pants. No, I drive her crazy when I talk about those pants. I don't. No, I mean like. I mean it annoys her. Yeah, it's just all these elements, right? you want to be a sum of different things, right? And then, as I was saying before with the other lecture, it's like gosh, I lost my train of thought. I bet if you two had no kids, she'd like it. What? What? I'm lost. I'm not following you there. Yeah, you got to be a Renaissance man. You got to be T-shaped skill set. You got to be a modern polymath. Um, and this system, the societal hierarchy is not going to teach you how to do that, right? So here's my plug. School will teach you this, right? Online education is trying to teach you this, right? And you know, I am in the process for going here to here, societal value to true value, and I want to teach you this. I want to turn you into this. So that's what I'm trying to do with my school and everything. It's it takes a lot of time with what I'm trying to do, especially because I'm like basically taking on some of the hardest topics. Yeah, school versus school. Yeah, there you go. That's what this basically is. Yeah, this is school versus school. And this is the problem of like why universities are starting to struggle now, because it's the next evolution of education is coming, right? And at the same time is you shouldn't just rely on school. Like this is more like school plus self-education. Self-education. Self-edu. Yeah. Like so yeah, like a lot of you guys, I still think you should go to school, especially like for those of you that are in like STEM, right? But you also want to be taking advantage of the internet and getting ahead that way. The thing is too is like now that we're in the future, one of the biggest weapons you have for fighting against like the misinformation is actually having more access to good mentors as well, and this will help you with that too, right? And the thing is too is like you shouldn't just say like, okay, like let's say this is my T-shaped skill set. So this is like DNA or Dan's T-shaped skill set. Well, then there might be like, oh, Hamza's over here, right? He's got his own T-shaped skill set. I mean, we might have some things in common, but there's other things we don't have in common. And then Iman just started his educational thing. I don't think he's very involved in it. It's not on school. It's like I think he's got it on his Educate platform. But if your big thing is just purely agency, then maybe you would do that. I think that mine and Hamza's, like, I mean, obviously it's going to take time for me to get mine, like, more pumping and stuff. But like, the thing is like, Hamza's really involved. I'm really involved. Hamza's really involved. You want to find people that are really involved. Like, people that are 20 years ahead of you and well, maybe not 20, but people that are like 10 to 15 years ahead of you, and they're very, very involved with actually, like, real teaching. I say that's a problem with like Iman and Tate. They're not actually truly involved with their students. Yeah, and exactly that, and then there's that element too. You want to find the people that align like with what you want to learn, right? And that might vary based on where you're at or what you're trying to learn. Like obviously, like I'm way more self-educated than like Hamza or Iman. Or Tate, but like Tate has more like life experience, like that was like challenging and like physical combat and things like that, and running a business. Like I don't have as much business experience versus these other guys yet, right? I might be more self-educated, but I don't have like as much business experience yet. The other really good one. It's another, like, if you guys don't know Dan Coe with what is it, Cortex? Dan Coe's, he's a wise guy. That guy's he's very clever. He's extremely self-educated and very, very, very high level of consciousness. And then the other guy, another guy you might be interested in is Charlie Morgan. He is a weapon. He's extremely self-educated. Extremely self-educated. He's like genius level, right? Like these guys are like genius level. Hamza's getting there too, but I mean he's got more of the masculine flavor. Like notice it's like these guys are smart, but there's a different flavor. Oh gosh, that's a terrible picture. Yeah, Dan Coe, I don't know. Some of his pictures are just like, bro, what are you doing, man? Like, what is that? Like, does he? I don't know. Does he think that looks good? Like, I don't know. Uh, Danco is big on a one-person business model, content creation, um, all that kind of jazz. Charlie Morgan's actually in the agency space as well. I mean, I'll tell you this: I'll choose Charlie Morgan over Iman any day. Like Charlie Morgan seems like way smarter than Iman. Yeah. Well, Charlie Morgan understands analytical psych, right? So typically, like, I'm gonna tell you this, guys. Like, if you want to get to the top level, I feel like you have to understand analytical psych. It seems like a requirement, honestly. Now I'm at the point where it's like I feel like it's required. You got to really understand Jung shit. Like like Jung figured it out. That guy was like a genius. Like people try to dismiss Jung because he leaned from science, like the scientific psyche, into metaphysics and more mystical kind of shit. But you have to in order to understand what what all that is, like you have to lean into it. You might want to start with Freud and just learn the basics of Freud, or maybe even go all the way back to Plato. And which book is it? Is that the Republic too? I don't. Whichever book Plato goes over the tripartite or the trisoul, like start with there because that's a basic, and maybe even Heraclitus. Heraclitus, no, not really. You don't really need to read his fragments, but it's interesting to see like the inspirations in philosophy that led to modern psychology. Yeah, well, I think it's soul actually. Like they considered it a soul. Yeah, Carl Jung, Carl Gustav Jung. So Jung, the reason why Jung was so powerful and his stuff was so powerful is because he was essentially like a classic synthesizer. He was a synthesizer in the classic, you know, classic day pre-internet time. Like he went over like he dedicated his whole life like living in a little house by a lake, just like delving into everything about like mythology and the stories that people would read and the different like the different the development of religion and story and man's relation to the collective and the world and its stories. Like he was he broke everything down and related it all with his paradigms, and then he further, what he did is he used himself as an experiment and delving into his own mind. It's absolutely crazy, like if you really look at it and what he did, right? And so what you have is you have a lot of people that are like very materialist, uh that dismiss Jung because of how he leaned into metaphysics, right? He basically was like one part psychologist, one part philosopher, one part spiritual kind of mystic kind of guy. But they're not judging the natural progression, right? You gotta take a step back from it and see how the progression came about. The ego is the order to the chaos of the id. Well, it's like the ego is like the mediator between the id and the superego in Freud's models, right? If we're talking about Freud's model with the id and superego, the ego is the mediator between both. Or as Plato says, the driver of the chariot. Depends what you want to learn. Yeah, but see the patterns here, guys. See the patterns. My point is, don't fall for the division of labor trap. You need to evolve. You want to look at the sequence at a wider scale. See, I've got a very good awareness of it because I can see it now in retrospect, right? Campbell? Yeah, Campbell was basically very similar to Jung. Um, but he put it into his own model of story architecture instead, right? The psychological development from a story architecture perspective. That's what it is. It's analytical psych, and analytical psych was basically like um, based upon like all the philosophers that came before, right? Because Nietzsche essentially figured out all of analytical psych and the hero's journey. He presented it in a very stylized writing. Like there is no Jung, there is no Campbell, there is no Jung without Nietzsche. Yeah, it's like you have these men all basically saying the same thing, and they're an estimation over the same core ideas, but the presentation varies based on the way they deliver it and their uniqueness. And that's what you're going to see too. It's interesting because that's what you're going to see too between all these guys right here, like all of us. It's the same shit, just delivered in a different way. Because what it is it's a dialectical process. It's a process of synthesis of a dialectical sequence. Jim Sessions gets stuck. Hope it was worth it, bud. All right, and yeah, I mean that's basically it. I wanted to get you aware of the trap of a T-shaped skill set. Isn't that interesting though? Isn't that interesting? Like, here's another interesting thought. Like you said, like, oh, if Iman here was here, he would say this, right? So you're saying if Iman was here in object, his subject to object relationship would be this. Think about that. Ah, my point in what I'm getting at with that statement is that all the great men of the past, they're not here in object in terms of their body, but their minds are on the paper. So you can take the subject, the algorithm of their mind, and absorb it into your mind, your subject, via the imprint on the paper, and then reading it. Do you see that? Do you see what I'm getting at here? So in order to become a genius, in order to be the T-shaped skill set and become a genius, like, you need to be optimizing your life for the subject, for the object to subject to object dialectic. Like, literally, it's like you got all these kids like looking for the answers everywhere. Like, you can go straight to the mind of Plato. Yeah, you can go straight to the mind of Jung, Nietzsche, to Einstein, to Schrödinger, to Newton, Leibniz, Fourier, to freaking, who else I got over here? To the Buddha, to Jesus Christ, to I mean, even the modern guys like Hormozy, to, like, you have all these minds. Yeah, Leonardo da Vinci, Kant, Descartes, Spinoza, Lao Tzu. What's the rings guy? What else I got over here? I got Confucius. I got more Plato. Like you can tap into the source of subject. Yeah, Napoleon. Here's another good one. Napoleon. You can tap into the subject of the greatest minds of history, and you're wasting the opportunity. You're wasting it. Like, what? Like, why am I wise? Why am I smart? Because I didn't waste the opportunity. Okay, guys, do you see that? Slavoj Zizek. I don't think I have. You just read their stuff. You don't. The reason why nobody reads is because you don't see it right away. Like a lot of you guys might think like, oh, Dan's really smart. He knows a lot, and the way he like can just pull all this stuff out of thin air about this person, that person, this idea, and that idea, it's because it was a long time of a lot of burning of ideas into my head and reading and not just that, but also like experience working and solving hard problems. Like, it all summates, right? And then it all starts to compound. It all starts to compound after you get to a certain age, where you start making interconnections between all the different ideas and fields of study, right? And that's where you can, like, make the connections between psychology and make the connections between quantum, make the connections between the brain, make the connections between philosophy, like all these different things. Like, they all start to interconnect. Yeah, so what I'm saying is I'm giving you guys not just the true value, but the true ultimate value. The ultimate truth of what value is, right? It's just the mind. You want to build the ultimate mind, the genius mind. Society does not want you to be the genius mind. Society wants the specialist. It does not want the genius mind. It doesn't need the genius mind. Because the genius mind can only come from the genius mind. So you have to expose the mind to genius mind so it slowly bleeds into the mind. Do you understand what I'm saying? You cannot solve a problem from the same level of consciousness that created it. You cannot solve a problem from the same level of consciousness that created it. Okay? Like, I'm trying to spell out for you guys like the objective, like the absolute truth of value that's going to turn you into a genius in like 10 years. Like, I'm not trying to, like, milk you for for money so I can go buy a new timepiece or a Bugatti. I'm trying to turn you into a genius in the next decade. All right? Do you see that? Do you see what I'm saying? Like it's a shift. Like you have the. I'm not saying like these people are bad. I'm just saying their money first, impacts second. Well, maybe not Hamza and Charlie. I don't know. Danko. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not gonna rip into these guys actually, but like, Iman, like everybody thinks Iman's a scammer. Like whether or not he really is or not, I don't know. Like everybody's always whining about Iman, saying he's a scammer. Yeah, Hormozy is really good because he's focused on a lot of free value. Yeah, he's. I feel like he's a really really good example, right? But you want to make an impact first. I mean, it's I I guess I can't be like hypocritical here too though, because the reason why I can make an impact first is because I'm already in this like this societal hierarchy getting money, so I can do that. Like if I was starving, obviously I wouldn't be doing that, right? I have the luxury to be able to do that, but if I were starving, I wouldn't be. Um, so Maslow, we're all slaves of Maslow's hierarchy, right? Because you gotta eat, you gotta fight that entropy. People will say I'm smart as people say you are smart. The mind is what will change. The synthesis of information will change. That's what people engage intelligence by. Yeah. So what I'm saying is if you spent like 10 years like sharpening your skills and then consuming like every genius mind in the world that ever lived, like like that's the real path. It's not like buy somebody's course, right? Like the reason why I'm saying like my course is going to be good and these lectures I'm doing are good is because that's what I did, right? Do you see what the answer is? Like the answer is just to be a synthesizer of top quality minds and information. That's all it is. That's it. That's how you make a genius. You have the best minds and the best information exposure. Be exposed to the best minds and the best information, and you will be the best mind with the best information. It's like common sense. Well, not common sense, but it's like obvious. The answer is obvious, but people can't see it. Right? They're egoic. They get too hooked on like, oh, that guy has a shiny watch. That well, yeah, it takes a shitload of time, right? There's a cost, but it's cause and effect. Yeah, but what I'm saying is like people don't weigh based on like real truth. And Sam Ovens has a great video on this, right? In the long run, the truth always wins, right? The real truth always wins. The absolute truth is what wins in the long run. But what you have is you have a lot of people that are just like trying to like harness the ego of the collective and just like you know channel money away. They just want to present in a way that will get value returned to them instead of having true value. Yeah, my brain hurts too. Oh, yeah, I'm at my limit too, guys. Yeah, that's it. That was a lot. For those of you that stuck around for like over 2 hours, like almost 2.5 hours, that I'll wrap it up.